What's up, everybody? Jared Sandler here with you with our Rangers update for today. Yesterday, we had some news. First of all, Rangers manager Chris Woodward had his option exercised for the 2022 season. This shouldn't be a surprise. I know the record is what it is, but let's also recognize that it's not like Chris Woodward has underachieved with rosters that were destined for great things. This has been a tough go of it for any manager just from a roster standpoint. And then now, as we get ready for the 2021 season, this organization is really fully committed to a rebuild. And so it's really unfair, I think, to assess Chris Woodward based on the record. I think where it's fair to assess him is the guys in the clubhouse and their thoughts on playing for him and how those guys love playing for this guy and just the general progressive mindset, open to ideas, the curiosity to try and get this team back to where it needs to be. It obviously wouldn't be fair to ask him to go through this rebuild and then just not give him a chance to go through the rebuild. So, no surprises there. I really do believe that, Chris Woodward is the right guy with the Dodgers pedigree and everything he's trying to bring to this organization. But obviously it's important to recognize that, the roster right now is not at a point where the standings are going to best reflect his managerial abilities. The Rangers made some roster moves yesterday. Speaking of the roster, we learned specifically that Jason Martin and Spencer Patton wouldn't make the team. They were sent down, reassigned to the minor league workout group. Not a surprise there. We also learned that Colby Allard and Joe Palumbo have been optioned to AAA Round Rock. They're not going to make the team. Again, not a surprise there either. In case you're wondering, the difference between those two and the characterization, the way that they're characterized is it's more procedural and technical than anything. Colby Allard and Joe Palumbo are on the 40-man roster. So they have to be optioned if they are not going to be on the opening day roster. So that's why they are optioned. Jason Martin and Spencer Patton are not on the 40-man roster, so they can just be assigned. They do not need to be optioned. We also learned that these six have made the team: Dane Dunning, Taylor Hearn, Wes Benjamin, John King, Brock Holt, and Jonah Heim. Jonah will be the backup catcher to Jose Trevino. If I had to guess, it's a 60-40 timeshare split. Brock Holt, I think, will be a backup utility infielder. We'll get some starts at third base, in addition to Rougned Odor. Not clear yet whether or not he'll be the backup shortstop. We'll get into that in a second. John King will be a left-handed arm out of the bullpen. Probably wouldn't have made the team if Brett Martin or Joely Rodriguez were available and healthy, but they're not. So it's an opportunity for John King, who either way was going to get some time at the big league level this year. John King, for those who maybe aren't as familiar with him, really, really good changeup. Wes Benjamin, Taylor Hearn, Dane Dunning. Jordan Lyles, we know, is going to be a part of the tandem. We don't know that all three of these guys are going to fill the remaining three spots and part of the two tandems in the Rangers rotation. Chris Woodward yesterday, when asked about Kyle Cody, who pitched really well last night at Goodyear, said the door's still open for Kyle to make the team. So it's not definitive that he is not going to make the team. And my guess is if Kyle makes the team, he will be a part of one of those tandems, or maybe, it would be a bullpen situation for him. But I feel confident that Taylor Hearn and Dane Dunning will be a part of the tandems. Will Wes Benjamin be a multi-inning reliever or a part of the tandems? We'll wait and see. But those guys have all made the team. They certainly deserve it. No surprises there. So going back to Brock Holt, that's not as much a surprise that he made the team with the injuries as the surprises that I guess are to come. So the questions are now, especially with Chris Davis out for 4 to 6 weeks, who's going to be the DH, the primary DH? Who's going to be that right-handed bat, whether it's the primary DH or not? Who's the first baseman? And who fills the final spot on the bench? And some of those overlap. So Adolis Garcia, for whatever it's worth, has had a tremendous camp. Andy Ibanez has looked good. And I've said on this platform, I'd like to see Andy Ibanez get some opportunities at the big league level just to know whether or not he can hit at a big league level, at a caliber, big league caliber against major league pitching in a way that's going to justify a spot on the roster. Because defensively, he's not really a guy who's going to earn playing time. It's going to be because of the bat. Adolis Garcia, though, has had a great camp. And so maybe it's an opportunity to see if he's made some adjustments and figured some things out. Both those guys are options, right? Right now, we know the bench is Jonah Heim, Brock Holt. I think that, with the other two spots, you can go a few different directions. So one spot has got to be for, a right-handed bats who, I forgot, Eli White. We know Eli White's going to be, it's not official yet. I'd be shocked if Eli White was not on this team. So now that's one bench spot. So we need to figure out who the DH is going to be, or the guy who can DH and maybe will sometimes play elsewhere. We need to figure out who that fourth bench spot is. So a few options here. The Rangers can go with both Nate Lowe and Ronald Guzman. If they do that, then obviously both guys stay in the organization. And in that case, Nate Lowe would probably DH. Ronald Guzman would be your starting first baseman. They could go with Ronald Guzman as their starting first baseman and option Nate Lowe. In that scenario, again, they keep both guys in the organization. Or they could go with Nate Lowe and designate Ronald Guzman for assignment, in which case they're likely not keeping Ronald Guzman in the organization. He's likely going to be claimed on waivers. So that is one possible route. Now, what about Charlie Culberson? If Charlie Culberson's that fourth bench spot, then you can't keep both Lowe and Guzman. If Charlie Culberson's on this roster, it's likely because he's the best option as a backup shortstop for defensive purposes. But right now, if Charlie Culberson's not on the roster, then Brock Holt's your backup shortstop. He's not as good defensively at short, but he can play the position. So the Rangers have some options here. First of all, the DH. Is it going to be Andy Ibanez, Nate Lowe, or Adolis Garcia? First base. Is it going to be Ronald Guzman or Nate Lowe? Final roster spot. Is it going to be Ronald Guzman or Charlie Culberson or someone else that we're not considering? It could be a combination of these things, but those are the spots that they have to fill. And it'll be interesting to see how they go about it here over the next few days. We might not even know until this team actually heads back to Arlington for the exhibitions against the Brewers. So that's just a little roster update. Talk to you guys later.